our ancestors, and all those men leading the way in the battle against the current decaying state.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of a traditional Man of Honor, of which I know that you all are that indeed. Today we will not be speaking about any of the most recent celebrity gossip.
I like this right.
But nonetheless, today's show will be very informative for you traditional Man of Honor that are aiming to improve your knowledge about the difference in being with a Colombian woman in Colombia or being with a Dominican woman in the Dominican Republic. Now, one thing that you gentlemen should know is that you are now tuned in to the traditional Man of Honor show, hosted by yours truly, Congo Toure L, otherwise known as Randall. Chapter 1. I first began traveling to the Dominican Republic in 2018, and then later to Colombia in 2021-ish. That being said, I do have quite an extensive and interesting library full of adventures that will both make you laugh and also make you cry. Walk with me as we take weekly adventures back down memory lane, which will eventually lead us up to today. Along the way, you will gain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of who I am, who I was, and why I am the way that I am now in comparison to who I used to be. Open the door. Back in 2018, I was still living in my one-bedroom apartment in Coconut Creek, Florida. $13.50 a month. I was staying with my girlfriend, Louise. We had been living together for 1 year, and I had just discovered that she was an habitual cigarette smoker. Yeah. And after refusing my ultimatum of either leave me or leave the cigarettes, the countdown began. When I found that information out, it slowly but surely began to deteriorate my perspective of the relationship that I was holding at the time with her. I had come to the conclusion that the time was ticking, and I need to be in search of a relationship that could offer me something that I have never experienced before. Most of my life I had been with American women, and that is all that I knew. One thing that you must know, gentlemen, about staying in South Florida is that you will be within close proximity of women from all around the world. While I was in South Florida, my eyes were open to the different cultures, different ethnicities, and different languages that beautiful women all around the world spoke. The only problem was, I only spoke English. One of the main barriers that keep us separate as far as cultures are concerned and ethnicities are concerned is the language barrier. If you can't communicate with the person that you're interested in getting to know or being with romantically, then it creates a difficulty in the relationship. While I was still living in my one-bedroom apartment with my girlfriend at the time that I was slowly and surely becoming more and more unattracted to by the day, I began my search online, being plenty of fish at the time, looking for women who could offer me something different than what I was used to. I began my search in Dominican Republic, and I found a young female at the time who was, I believe, 24 years old. I had already made my transition from the sheriff's office at that time and had began driving trucks. So therefore, I had plenty of free time to speak with this young lady while being away from home and while at home online. While speaking with this young lady on Plenty of Fish, eventually one thing led to another, and we exchanged phone numbers. And I was introduced to the application called WhatsApp Messenger. After speaking for a while on WhatsApp Messenger, I developed enough comfort and enough confidence in order to schedule my first plane ride down to the Dominican Republic. My first flight to the Dominican Republic, I landed in the evening time and met this young woman who I had been speaking with at the time for over 6 months. And just taking a step back for a second, this is actually the second woman that I've actually started talking to. I was speaking to another woman probably about 3 years before while I was working at a care home in Jackson, Georgia. But I didn't have the confidence at that time to take a flight to a foreign country, and that I had no family in, no friends in, that was on the other side of the ocean, and as far as I was concerned at the time, on the other side of the world. So I did not have the wherewithal at the time, working at a care home as a live-in assistant, certified nursing assistant type of job worker, to be able to afford to go down to the Dominican Republic and be comfortable enough to pull it off at that time. So my relationship with that woman that I had developed online didn't last that long. I initially met her again on one of the social websites. I think it was Plenty of Fish at the time. I sent her a message, she replied, and we began a relationship. And of course, as you all will find out, that most Dominican relationships with Americans begin, the woman will have issues and you will have to be a savior. She told me that our house got flooded and she lost all of her clothes, all of her food, and all of her money. I eventually said, okay, how much do you need to help you out? And she said, hey, if you can send me $30, it will be a big help. So I said, hey, $30 is nothing here in the USA. I get to have a woman that looks like you for $30, and that's a big thing. Here it is. So I went to Western Union and became one of those Western Union daddies. All right. So after I got involved with her for a few months, and I did not have the confidence to go down there, slowly but surely the thrill began to die down for me. And I said, you know what? I'm making about $400 a week, if that, maybe $350 at the time. I can't send $30 down to the Dominican Republic on a weekly basis, even though I'm speaking with the one that I'm very attracted to. But this woman that I don't really have the confidence to get on a plane to go and see. And plus, she is increasing the amounts that I'm sending to her. Now it had gone from $30, now it's to $50, and an occasional, $70 here and there. So I said, it's not really worth it, and I cut off the relationship. Now, fast forwarding back to where we were 2.5 to 3 years later, okay? I'm speaking with this young woman in the Dominican Republic that, at the time, convinced me that I need to come down. Seeing that I was not a certified nursing assistant worker anymore, I was not making $350 a week anymore. I was a young trucker. I had maybe elevated my level from amateur to kind of a mid-amateur, a novice, moving into the expert with 2 years in the game, professional side of things. So my weekly income, or my wages rather, was about $1,200 to $1,300 a week. Sometimes on a good week I can do 15 to 16. All right, so that changed my economic situation. All right, so plane lands in Dominican Republic, evening time, end of November 2018, and I finally see the woman that I've been talking to on Plenty of Fish. The woman I've been sending money to for the past 6 months and taking care of her family as well, including moving her into a new 3-bedroom house. If you want to know, first place I take her to as soon as I land, Tune in next week for Chapter 2, Breaking the Ice. It may be a bit blank as well.